Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar, Housing Programs Deliver Holistic Services and Drive Impact with Salesforce Nonprofit Cloud Case Management. My name is Valerie Rogers, and I'm a consultant and housing expert at Provisio Partners. We're so excited to share this time with you to learn from housing and Salesforce experts about how Salesforce Nonprofit Cloud Case Management can transform your housing programs. Today, I'm joined by Nicole Watson and Connie Yu from Salesforce.org. Please give a warm welcome to Nicole Watson, Nonprofit Cloud Product Marketing Manager, and Connie Yu, Nonprofit Senior Solutions Engineer. We're so excited they're able to join us.
But before we do the fun stuff, I just want to give a quick reminder that we may be making some forward-looking statements, and you should base your purchasing decisions on products and services that are currently available.
Thank you, Nicole, for giving us that forward-looking statement. For today's agenda, we'll discuss Provisio Partners, who we are, who we serve, and our work within the housing space. We'll also be digging into the Salesforce Nonprofit Cloud Case Management and how utilizing NCCM will solve your housing program challenges. And most excitingly, we'll get a live demo for NCCM and see how firsthand it can help transform housing programs in real time. As a quick reminder before we begin, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please submit them in the Q&A section on the right side of your screen, and we'll address them live at the end of the presentation. To start out, I wanted to introduce myself further. I've been a consultant at Provisio Partners for a year and a half. My favorite part of the job is getting to work closely with clients every day to make sure their jobs are easier and their work more streamlined. All of the organizations we work with do such incredible work, and helping them make their jobs easier and impact measurement more robust is why I love going to work each day. Prior to joining Provisio, I was in the nonprofit housing world for 15 years. I've worked both for transitional housing and supportive housing, as well as permanently affordable homeownership programs. My most recent housing experience was working for a national housing nonprofit focused on permanent affordability and inclusionary housing policies. Making sure people have access to safe, affordable, and decent housing has always been a passion of mine. So a little bit more about Provisio. We are first and foremost a technology consulting firm. We specialize in serving human services organizations and exclusively design and implement Salesforce, making sure that organizations are successful in their technology implementations and ultimately user adoption. Our firm is comprised of not only Salesforce technology consultants and developers, but also former nonprofit and public sector leaders who are true subject matter experts. We were formed in 2017 and with a focus on serving nonprofit human service organizations. And since then, we've expanded to the public sector as well to expand our impact. Our mission statement is to serve to empower change makers with right fit Salesforce solutions so they can better serve their mission. Today, Provisio Partners has served over 122 clients nationwide. We've completed 205 projects. We have a total of 152 Salesforce certifications across our team, and we have an average rating of 4.8 out of a scale of 5 in customer satisfaction. To start, we want to better understand of what the most challenging barriers are for your organizations. On the right side of your screen, by the chat box, you'll see our poll. Feel free to take a couple seconds to vote. So it looks like a lot of people are having cumbersome operational processes. We'll definitely show you today how NCCM can help with streamlining those processes as you're working with those constituents you work with every day. We've worked with a variety of housing programs nationwide. On the screen, we showcase just a few of our housing clients. Organizations like those on the screen turn to Provisio to help them build out a cost-effective single source of truth with a more holistic way of looking at program participants. Provisio will take the time to fully understand how your program organization runs so that we can build out a system that fits your specific needs. Provisio is successful because 70% of our staff have worked directly for nonprofit organizations, and we take the time to ask questions about how your program functions, but also how it is different from other housing organizations to ensure that what we build meets your needs specifically. And now I'll be joined by Nicole Watson, where we will discuss how Salesforce and NCCM helps nonprofits and most specifically housing organizations like yourself.
Thank you, Valerie. Before I begin, we would like to know how familiar you are with Salesforce. So go ahead and on the right-hand side of your screen, select your answer. We'll give you a couple of seconds to make your selection. Okay, see a lot of people are somewhat familiar with Salesforce.org. That's great to hear. Oh, now very familiar. Okay, well, thank you so much for giving us that context. So Salesforce.org, or at Salesforce.org, we are a social impact center of Salesforce focused on partnering with the global community to tackle the world's biggest problems. We build powerful technology for and with our community of nonprofit, educational, and philanthropic organizations. With their guidance, our solutions are tailored to their unique needs, helping them operate effectively, raise funds, and connect. At a time when our communities need us more than ever, technology allows us to build resilience and maximize social impact. Together, we can close the gap between the impact created today and the potential for impact in the future. Nonprofit Cloud is our solution of purpose-built products for nonprofits and is built on top of the Customer 360. We take advantage of the core platform features to create nonprofit-specific solutions across fundraising, marketing and engagement, program management, and grants management. 87% of our customers report that their information is more centralized and easier to access, which in turn increases transparency. And at the foundation of Nonprofit Cloud is the Nonprofit Success Pack, or NPSP, the open source industry standard data model with intelligence built for the nonprofit community with the nonprofit community that helps you manage your income streams and programs in one place. Salesforce.org's newest innovation in case management helps case managers manage the entire client lifecycle in a single system. You may be doing this using spreadsheets or paper today, or even a tool that doesn't necessarily guide these clients moving them forward to achieve their goals. Or maybe you're not even able to access your spreadsheet or system working from home. With Nonprofit Cloud Case Management, you're able to track services, case plans, notes, incidents, referrals, assessments, and outcomes in a single system that's accessible from your work or home computer. You and your colleagues can also collaborate on service delivery since you're working all in the same system. So let's say you're taking shifts working from the office. Your whole case management staff have the full context of client goals and next steps working from the same place. In a time where the demand for services is higher than ever, Nonprofit Cloud Case Management comes with lots of out-of-the-box features that help you scale your ability to deliver personalized care and services for all of your housing programs. Starting with a customized homepage for case managers that gives them a single place showing upcoming meetings, tasks, and any incidents they need to be made aware of. You can also streamline intake and referrals with pre-configured templates that differ by program or easily refer them to another organization. Once clients are entered into a housing program, case managers are guided through case plans, assessments, they can add client notes, and record any incidents to ensure that no client falls through the cracks. You'll find a downloadable handout on the right of your screen of the Nonprofit Cloud Case Management Solution Brief that provides further detail about the product's features and its benefits to nonprofits. So feel free to download the datasheet and learn more about NCCM. And now let's move to the exciting part of our webinar and see Nonprofit Cloud Case Management in action with a live demo led by Connie Yu. She'll give a firsthand look at how housing programs can utilize Salesforce's Nonprofit Cloud Case Management to solve your program challenges. She'll be walking you through a fictitious nonprofit called Steps, whose mission is to prevent homelessness and provide wraparound services for clients who are in search of housing.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. So as mentioned, I'm going to be representing Steps, and I'll be playing the role of a case manager, Simone Parks, managing and tracking client interests in our program. So of course, I start my day off logged into Nonprofit Cloud Case Management. I have a lot on my plate, so my homepage allows me to prioritize what I need to accomplish for my day. I can see what open tasks I currently have for the day, what meetings I have queued up later this afternoon, as well as what services we're providing for this week. I'm also able to notice some incidences that are related to the clients that I support. And incidences are essentially unplanned or unexpected events that involve our clients. These can be injuries, conflicts, really anything that I want to keep top of mind. So it looks like Joe was unable to attend a workshop. Let's drill into that. Based on the additional details, it looks like Joe missed her resume workshop due to a transportation issue. So this is good for me to know in case I have a meeting with Joe and we can talk about, additional options for transportation for her next time. Now, we run a number of programs to prevent homelessness, including transitional housing support, job readiness to financial literacy. Let's take a look at the list of individuals who are requesting services from Steps so we can get them enrolled. I have a list of prospective clients or referrals who have recently requested services. And this dynamic list means I'm viewing the newest clients for this week, so I don't fall behind. Let's take a look at our newest intake from Jane. At the top of Jane's intake form, we can see exactly what stage she's in. I can also see that she was actually referred by a government agency, the Housing Authority. I can see details like who actually referred her, what support and assistance she needs from our organization, and really the origin of where she came from. So I go ahead and pick up the phone and call Jane to begin the intake process. And this checklist here on the left side really allows me to capture all the information we care about with Jane. As I walk through the intake process, I can move section by section based on the natural flow of our conversation. Now, let's say Jane doesn't necessarily have her emergency contact information on hand. That's totally okay. I can just leave this unchecked and I'll have an automated reminder so I follow up with her the next time we connect to make sure that she provides me with her emergency contact information. Jane's able to provide me with her standard demographic and details, so I can go and check those off. And what's nice is I have a visual reminder of where I'm at in my checklist. As I continue on with the intake process, I can also complete an initial assessment right from the intake screen. Assessments help me determine a client's baseline status for when they enter the program and also visualize how their circumstances change over time. For Jane, she needs specific assistance finding a job and stable income. So maybe we want to do a job assessment for Jane. I can go ahead and capture that information right on the phone, as well as do an overall assessment and give her an initial grade. So from our conversation, I find Jane a great fit for our program, so I'm going to go ahead and approve her. I'll move her up in approved status, mark that as a current stage, as well as enroll her in our transitional housing program. Enroll her as a client, and she is enrolled. So now that Jane is officially a client and enrolled in a program, let's take a look at how all of the details related to Jane are saved in Salesforce. We're going to go ahead and navigate to her client record that captures her background and everything we need to know about her. I do want to call out that we have an intuitive search function here at the bottom that can be found at really any point within our platform. And this is super helpful because it allows me to search for clients based on their first or partial or preferred names or even birthdays. So when I search Jane, intuitively it finds her information and I don't have to know her full name to really find her contact information. So her client record gives us that full picture of who Jane is. I can see her photo, her standard contact details, but I can also see critical alerts that we need to know about Jane. So out the gate, we can see that she's allergic to dogs, as well as she needs to call every time she enters her unit. So this is helpful for both me and my colleagues to know for housing purposes. We're also able to see how engaged she is with our organization. We can see the programs that she's currently enrolled in. We can also see all that rich information we got from her intake. So again, the referral of where she came from, the intake that we've just processed, as well as the program she's enrolled in, and any future case plans or services we've delivered to Jane. I'm also able to see the progress of how she's doing from those assessments. And given she's a new client, we haven't really progressed her status over time. But to kind of use your imagination, this would show a visual representation of how she's progressing with our programs. We're also able to see any client notes and client alerts, again, related to Jane and what we need to know top of mind for her. And then, of course, her standard contact details. This gives us a full holistic view of who Jane is, making it easy for any caseworker to get up to speed on our clients. Now, I want to talk to Jane about what she needs to do and where we can support her in her search for a job to prepare for interviews and ultimately secure employment to lead to stable housing. And this can be done by creating a case plan. So I'm going to go ahead and give this case plan a name. We'll keep it simple, Jane's case plan, associate it to Jane. And what's great is because Jane is enrolled in the transitional housing program, this case plan automatically shows that program she's enrolled in. So rest assured, it's not going to show any cases or any plans that she's not already part of. Now, as part of this plan, obviously we need to define goals. And based on transitional housing, there are templated goals that we can input specific to what are the common goals that people who are part of our transitional housing need to go through. So for Jane, we definitely want to make sure we complete that financial counseling as well as housing assistance application. And with those goals, there are standard action items that we also want to make sure we hold Jane accountable to. So for her financial counseling, definitely want to make sure she completes a workshop as well as identify a mentor. And then for the housing assistance application, we'll want to gather all those requirements and review that with the caseworker. When I save Jane's case plan, we have the ability to track and manage how is she doing as we connect and move her along towards her goals. So again, we can see the goals that were defined as well as those action plans. But what's nice is if we needed to make any edits or customization or even add additional goals and action items, we could easily do so here. We can also adjust the status of her goals and action items and assign specific due dates. So for gathering appropriate documentation, maybe we want to track that to next week to give her about a week to provide all that information. We can also, again, adjust the status and assign it to another caseworker if, I need some additional help or support. So if you need to customize or adjust any of the goals or action items, know that you can really personalize that case plan for your client's individual needs. So the last thing I want to call out is obviously many of your organizations likely require that notes are taken after every interaction when a client, while tracking qualitative aspects of what has happened during that actual visit. And so we can do that by creating a client note, and that can easily be found right on Jane's client record. And again, you can document any visits or conversations with Jane, so case managers know in the future, they can also refer back to that. So I'm going to go ahead and select the record type as housing. Since we just talked about our case plan, I'll title this Jane one-on-one, already associated to Jane, and then the interaction date slotted for today. This type of interaction we're going to say was a phone call and associate it to that program that she's just enrolled in. We can also include tags to make it easy to search. So again, we're going to go ahead and tag that as housing and make the notes from our call. And what's great is all of the client notes are auto-saved, so there's no risk of ever losing my work. Now, as a part of Jane's services, I had, and one of her action items was to enroll her in a financial counseling workshop. So for this, we're going to go ahead and schedule multiple services for this financial counseling because it's going to happen over the course of a few weeks. So let's go ahead and walk through that. When I select new service schedule, it's going to populate the details that I need. So this is going to be financial counseling, and it's going to be a weekend workshop. We can also select who is going to be the workshop owner or guide for each session. And I'm going to go ahead and pick Jacqueline. And I can also cap the number of participants. So I want to make sure it's a small and intimate group, so I'm going to cap it at 5. I can also identify what date I want to start this as. So we're going to start this weekend, and it's actually going to be at 10 a.m. It's going to be for an hour slot. And then again, we're going to have it on a weekly frequency on Saturdays and have it ending after 3 sessions. So walking through this, as you can see, you can really customize and tailor when those scheduled services can be defined. As we move forward, we have a summary of the scheduled sessions, but maybe let's say I know I'm going to be out of town on the 14th. I can easily edit and add additional services right from this screen. So I'm going to go ahead and reschedule that for later in September. And then next, I'll of course want to add my service participants. And these are all individuals that are only enrolled in the transitional housing. So again, I don't have to cross-reference who are the potential clients that would make a good fit for this financial counseling workshop. I can also add cohorts if that's something you currently track based on either time frame or maybe, maybe region of the group that they're part of. And then I'm able to also add folks to my program. So I'm going to go ahead and add all, but I realize there's actually 8 folks that have been added. And I get a notification here at the top because I've put a capacity at 5. So I'm going to go ahead and remove a few of these folks. That way we only have 5 folks attending. And I have a summary of all the sessions I've scheduled. And we have a nice summary of, again, that workshop that I've created. And with just a few clicks, I didn't have to manually create every single scheduled session individually. And now let's say we fast forward and that session has happened. I want to go ahead and make sure that I'm tracking the appropriate attendance for that first workshop. And that can easily be done in that specific service session. We can see all of the clients that have attended, and I can go ahead and input the number of hours they've attended. And by default, the status is selected as present, but you can adjust that as necessary. All these folks have attended our workshop. I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And we now have perfect attendance tracked for our session. In our time together, we've seen how the Salesforce Nonprofit Cloud Case Management Solution can help your organization keep up with demands while providing a personalized service at scale. Now I'm going to pass it back to Nicole.
Thank you so much, Connie, for that live demo. It was awesome to see how Nonprofit Cloud Case Management helps housing organizations. And to extend Nonprofit Cloud Case Management, we recently launched Tableau starter dashboards that are specifically built for program management. Having pre-built templates that were created with service delivery in mind makes it easier to get up and running with Tableau to view and analyze more complex data analytics. The data aggregated in these dashboards gives you insight into service delivery trends, staff capacity, client enrollment and participation trends, intake trends, and client assessments, allowing you to make data-driven decisions and scale your service delivery. Now that we've had a chance to take a peek into reporting extensions for program management through Tableau, powered by Salesforce, I want to hand the mic over to Valerie. She will be giving a brief rundown of the case management extenders that Provisio Partners has customized to enhance operations within Nonprofit Cloud Case Management specifically for housing programs. So Valerie, take it away.
Thanks. Provisio has created its own case management extenders for housing programs to enhance the nonprofit cloud case management's current offerings and provide customizations to help you reach your program goals. These extenders include tracking where your buildings are and units, tracking who's paying rent, tracking who is subsidizing those units or tenants, who is in each unit, also tracking any of those tenants' maintenance requests, also which residents might have completed an annual income certification, as well as how residents are improving both financially and educationally now that they're in stable housing. These extenders can be customized to your organization's unique needs. Now let's move on to the Q&A. If you haven't already done so, please submit your questions in the Q&A section on the right side of the screen. We'll address your questions live. So Raymond, thank you for the great question where you're asking about user adoption rates from other organizations and how we can help to train your staff with Salesforce. Our solution is configured and implemented. We do provide training and support, including a dedicated help desk. That's why our clients have user adoption rates of 80% versus the industry average of 20%. Noelle has asked, do we need to be certified in Tableau to use the Tableau function? So I'll pass that one on to Salesforce.
I can address that. I'm sorry, I think there's a bit of an echo. So you do not need to be certified to leverage any of our solutions, but depending on the complexity of what you're looking to do within our platform, we'd recommend either potentially training or services from a partner like Provisio, or we also have a number of self-guided training through Trailhead, help and training articles. So there's a number of ways to get yourself up to speed on Tableau.
We have a question from Ashley. Ashley can see how this program can help, but she wants to know how our clients have seen implementation of Salesforce improve their ability to report impact to funders, and have they seen that help with increased fundraising? Myself, being a former nonprofit person that came in housing and started using Salesforce, Salesforce has such incredible impact measurement tools that you're really able to streamline your programs, see where people may be getting stuck in intake, or see where you might need to beef up your educational programs. So there's a lot of ways that you can work with Salesforce to do a lot of that impact measurement. And also with the impact measurement, you're also be able to tell better impact stories to your funders, which can also increase funding. We also have a question from Noelle. Can you customize any workflow rules? I will pass that one on to Connie.
Okay, short answer is yes. Again, similarly, we have a number of training and enablement options on how to define and configure workflows. We also have a number of different automation options out of the box. So as long as you kind of know what you're doing and know what you're looking to automate, you can define that within Salesforce and can certainly customize that.
These are fantastic questions. We also have a question from Aaron. How customizable are the forms and reports on our end?
It's going to be a short answer. The answer is they're all very customizable. So it's really understanding what you want the outcome to be or what you want the view to be. But again, our system is very flexible, and we really pride ourselves in the ability to customize it and adapt to your needs and what you're looking for. So I definitely would have additional questions around what are the types of forms and reports that you're looking for, but there are a number of different options, and we can certainly help kind of navigate that for you.
Great. So we also have a question from Bridget. Is it easy for nonprofits to set up forms and fields within Salesforce, or do we need to request those processes? And I'll pass that one on to you as well, Connie. You're going to answer all our Salesforce questions.
So the short answer is yes, but it also kind of depends. Salesforce we have a lot that we offer. And so, the beauty of an implementation partner like Provisio is they'll walk through what are your needs and what do you need specifically defined in a form, and what key fields are you looking to capture as it relates to your clients or your constituents. So we would definitely recommend a partner to kind of ensure that you're not only leveraging best practices, but that the org and the instance is set up in the best way to complement your process. So short answer is yes, you can certainly set up all of that. I guess it would just depend on, what do you need it to look like and how complex is that? But you certainly can. And then again, comment remains the same of all the resources we have available to you.
Great, thanks, Connie. So we also have another question. Is there built-in capacity to capture electronic signatures, or would a third-party app be needed for that?
Out of the box, and yes, that would be a third-party functionality. Depending on how you want to capture that will also depend on how the look and feel of that. But there's a number of different options in organizations that we partner with. I know DocuSign is a common one, but a number of different ones. So Valerie, I'm not sure if you've seen common e-signature third-party apps as well, but
we've seen people use Nintex and DocuSign, and have also, for some housing agencies, built in forms that they can just sign directly on the computer. So there's a variety of different options you could use, be it a third-party app or working with a consultant to build those out. Great, we have another question from D. Can the system be connected to other existing databases through an API for regular data import and export?
I can take that one. Yes, it can. As far as how and what the integration looks like and how you want data to flow between Salesforce and your external system, unless you have that expertise in-house, again, we would definitely recommend a partner to navigate what that would look like. But 100% it is possible. We have an open platform.
Great. So Judith has asked, is there information only relative to housing organizations, or can other nonprofits utilize NCCM?
One of the use cases, but one of the beauties of the system is that it can really be used for any kind of a program. So whether you just have housing programs, or if maybe you have a housing program, educational programs, whatever the case is, it is flexible enough to be built out for each one of those programs all in the same system.
Great. And then Gabrielle has asked, are there ways for system admin within our organization to check for record completeness? I can check this one. As a former admin myself, you can use list views in Salesforce. That's a great way to just spot check information really quickly and update things. But then you can also run reports of all the different records you have in Salesforce, so you can see if data doesn't look like it's correct or complete. So then you can then share those with your staff members so that they can go back and fix anything that might need completing. So Salesforce is pretty flexible to allow you to make sure you're collecting all the great data so that you can give all those great impact reports to your funders. Let's see, we have a follow-up question from Raymond. All our programs are so different. How can one single platform solution manage the unique features of our programs? I can take this and then probably pass it on to Salesforce because they might have some additional guidance. The great thing about Salesforce and things like case management is you might be doing case management in a variety of different places within your org. Your housing org might have a very specific kind of case management. You might also be working with a DUI program that has a different kind of case management. So the case management functionality can be used across programs, but then you can also build out Salesforce to meet your needs with adding additional fields and additional functionality that can meet the different kinds of programs. So at the end of the day, you have everything in one system and you have one source of truth for reporting.
explained it spot on. Again, because our platform is so configurable, if you need to mold it to your unique programs, to Valerie's point, you can have specific fields or, whatever that looks like for those unique programs, you can have those defined. And then again, as you go through that process with defining, okay, how do we manage those programs and what do we need the system to look like? Provisio would be a great resource to help you with best practices and ensure that it's reflective of the unique programs that you serve.
Great. We have another question from Tammy. For housing programs that are HUD funded, does this program support HUD data entry and reporting requirements? I can answer this one. I think it depends in Salesforce what kind of HUD reporting you're doing. There are Salesforce applications for doing the 9902, for example, if you are a housing counseling agency. If you are an HMIS group, so I can also answer Dee's question at the same time, you'd have to look with the vendors lists for HMIS to see if Salesforce has a Salesforce provided vendor. I can't think of one off the top of my head. What a lot of groups are doing though is they're, since HMIS to make changes to it, or what I've seen from other agencies is that you have to request that they make changes to the data structure so you can track what you need. A lot of housing agencies are tracking their information in Salesforce so they can track their whole project management, but then doing their reporting through their actual HMIS system. So happy to answer any follow-up questions to that if you have any follow-up questions. And then we have one additional question here from Heidi. Are there user permissions and restrictions so that one staff sees only what's applicable to their team, such as if a client is both a class participant and a tenant, so that the financial counselor maybe shouldn't see everything from the person's housing records? I can take this one as well. You can set up different profiles and roles in Salesforce so that you can only provide certain roles or people in your organization access to what they need to see. So for example, we often work with a lot of groups that might be tracking, some medical data in connection with the housing that they're doing. So they really want to restrict that down. So you can really provide only the people that need access to that data, but then you can also still manually share that data if you need to with appropriate case managers. And Nicole and Connie, do you have anything else to add to that?
I think you nailed it. Sorry, I was on mute.
And I think that's all of the questions that we have. Does anybody else have any questions? Great. Thank you guys for all those wonderful questions. It's always good to be able to, oops, it looks like we have one more question from Dee. What is a typical onboarding timeline? I think that will depend on what your project entails. If you need to use NCCM just directly out of the box, you could probably get up and running a lot faster than if you work with a consulting partner to then build it or customize it to your needs. So I think that's an important thing to note, is it's really going to depend on what you need. But when you work with a consulting partner, they would find out what your timeline is, when you need to be live. If you're moving off a system that's telling you have to be off in a couple months, that's where we can have conversations to make sure we're meeting your needs within your timeline. And then we have another question from Tammy. What about cost? So I will pass that on to Salesforce.
Question. So Tammy, I would be curious specifically, from a cost perspective, are you looking for just Salesforce, or also are there any implementation services costs that you're looking to get information on? Again, it depends. It depends on how big your organization is, how many licenses your team needs, and the access of information they need. So I see. Okay, so so just case management. Okay, perfect. So definitely depends on if. Sorry, I was distracted by the second question. Definitely depends on your staff size, who needs access. Case management is typically just issued to the caseworker, but if there's additional folks that need access to, say, your case plans, client information, the programs that you're running, They would also be licensed, but I would actually recommend connecting with your account executive to give more specifics because it can totally range from a licensing perspective. So fortunately, I don't have a specific answer. That was a long-winded answer to say it depends, talk to your account executive.
Thanks, that's really helpful. And I think that is all the questions that we have. Let me just look to make sure we've covered everybody's questions. Great. Well, now that we've answered your questions, we want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon for our webinar event and for our Salesforce speakers, Nicole Watson and Connie Yu. We truly appreciate all of your time and look forward to continued communications. If you have any more questions or would like to hear more about what Provisio can do for your organization and its programs, please contact us at the email or phone number on screen. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.